From Oscar Steakhouse, inside the Plaza Hotel and Casino in Las Vegas, you're on the corner of Main Street. Welcome to the only podcast produced by and recorded in the Las Vegas Hotel Casino. From gaming to dining to entertainment to sports to Vegas history, this is the place to be for the inside scoop, because this is the place to be downtown. Now, here's Plaza CEO Jonathan Jossel.
Okay, we're back. It's 2024. Gary, good to be with you.
Happy New Year.
Are we still doing that?
We got to figure out what that window is.
Today's the cutoff.
Okay.
Today's the cutoff.
Perfect.
No more, but Happy New Year to you too. Although I was with you at midnight on New Year's Eve, so it's not that exciting. But Happy New Year to all our listeners. Hope you're all doing well and had a great holiday season. And we got a cool guest today. We got a cool story today. In-house team member.
Right.
But before
it's been a while since we've brought in an in-house team member for the
and he's
an
important part of this team. I think there's, when you look at the end of the year and the upside for the Plaza, table games, which we'll be talking about shortly, is a real great area for us. So, but before we do that, I just wanted to talk about a few things. At the end of the year, I had family in town. I played tourist for about 2 weeks.
Okay.
And we have some new changes here at the Plaza of things that have happened since then. So one of the obvious things is McDonald's closed down.
Of course.
December 15th was their last day in operation. So if you're looking for McDonald's at the Plaza, you've come to the wrong place.
Go down to the D.
Go down to the D. And we are going to work on a new burger concept I'm very excited about. We are going to work on something to replace McDonald's. The burger concept will be in a different location.
Okay.
We are looking at potentially 3 to 4 new F&B concepts this year at the Plaza. Not B, just F, food. The B, we got the Carousel Bar and the Sand Dollar. Great to have the Carousel Bar here during the holidays, the rodeo season. Really, really cool to see that. But McDonald's closing allowed us to do one of the things that was always part of the plan, which was to take down the wall between the smoke-free and the food court.
Right.
So now the smoke-free ultimately will expand into the food court. We'll be putting in a few new concepts into the food court. You know, I went out to Durango. They got a great food hall there. Have you been out there yet?
I haven't been there yet.
No, the concepts they have there are really interesting, and they've done a great job. They brought in some local operators. They brought in some from other states. But I think I don't want to necessarily go maybe as high-end or as curated, but I think there is some opportunities for us to really up our offerings. And then we're still going to fill in that old, we used to call it Brightside, the old deli, or Island Sushi and Hawaiian Grill, for those listening from longer time ago. But that space is going to become a new concept that we're working on now. And then, of course, we have the Greyhound bus station that we're looking to fill. So food is a big focus for 24 to get a couple of new concepts in there. But the wall is now down to the smoke-free. And I guess there was a little bit of chatter online about smoke-free not doing as well as it was. There's two ways. There's the half empty and there's the half full way to look at it, right?
Right.
It was dead real estate, a parking lot. Today it's got 60 slot machines generating a pretty significant amount of money. Is it as busy as we hoped it would be? No. Is it doing really well? Yeah. So in terms of filling in a space that was pretty unutilized, it's doing really well in that regard. So I'm happy with that.
And the guests that are utilizing that space because they don't want to be in a smoke casino are certainly enjoying it, and you know they're going to be back time after time.
I enjoyed it because I got my biggest win yet at the Plaza, about $300 out of one of those machines.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Yes, correct. And it's a beautiful space. It's got great games. We're obviously in partnership with Brian Christopher, who's when he's here, it's packed. It looks great. The opportunity, or let's say the challenge, is, you know, we don't have enough foot traffic on that side of the building because we closed it off to the food court. Right. Now with the wall being open there, as we get more and more foot traffic into the food court, and you allow people to go through on both sides, I do believe it's going to pick up. And ultimately, I don't think smoke-free is necessarily the future, but having that option for people is an attractive option. And I'm seeing enough upside and benefit there. So yeah, do I wish it was more packed? Sure. But is it doing way more than the dead real estate or paying for itself in terms of the investment? 10 times.
Right.
So that regard, it's very good. One
question I think I know the answer to. Most of the machines in the smoke-free are not duplicative of what's in the main casino, right? They're unique?
There are some unique, but I do try to make both, because what you'd never want to have happen is somebody who's a smoker saying, I don't want to go in there, I smoke, and then vice versa. You don't have a non-smoker say, well, I can't play my favorite game because it's only... So there is a lot of duplicative, is that the word you use? I don't think that's the right word. Duplicates. but there is some special items there, and that partly comes because of Brian and our relationship with him. He has some control of the elements that we are, or the curation, I should say, of the games that we put in there. So that's where we are, and that area is going to continue to improve and expand, and we're going to do more with it. So that shows you that we believe in it.
Do you think that all the food options are going to be Plaza ran, or are you going to considering leasing any of them?
Looking at both options.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. We're getting pretty excited about some of these options, actually.
Right.
And then one of the things that happened on New Year's Eve that I thought was pretty telling, it's an important milestone. I have a nice picture with me sitting next to Oscar Goodman, Carolyn Goodman on New Year's Eve at dinner. And it dawned on me at that dinner, that is the last time we're going to have dinner with Oscar and Carolyn on New Year's Eve, because it is the last time that they will be mayors of Las Vegas after 25 years. So it's a very big milestone. They went down to Fremont. They always go down to Fremont Street at midnight. I go up to the roof with my friends, family, VIPs for the fireworks show that we do. They go down to Fremont Street to do the countdown for the city. And they've been doing that for 25 years as mayors combined. And this was the last Friday, the last New Year's Eve. It was a Sunday night this year, that they will be mayors. So that was a pretty sad and momentous occasion, actually, because I don't think they're going to want to stay up till midnight in the future.
Right.
I don't see them doing that.
Wow.
So it was a great New Year's Eve. We did a great fireworks show. I see it as sort of my gift to downtown. We put on the only fireworks show. I see a lot of the other hotels programming around it, promoting it, which is great. Let them enjoy it. Let the community enjoy it. I did get reached out to by the Strip, I'm not going to say who, to say, can we include Plaza in the citywide fireworks show, which I've been waiting 7 years for that invitation.
Okay.
And hopefully we can
so
make
it would
that
be
happen.
choreographed with their fireworks?
I mean, that's what they said, but we'll have to see if it really happens, because this was actually from the firework company, not the LVCVA or the LVE, whoever puts on that fireworks show. I think it's LVE at this point, which is basically the same. But I'd love to put the Plaza into that. One, it would save us the money, but two, I think that it would be cool to choreograph with the Strip and the nature of their show.
And there's nothing more exciting than having 4,000 people standing out front on Main Street watching fireworks, and
I love that.
And this is the first time, other than really July 4th, that the Carousel Bar has been open. I mean, that whole area has been closed off pretty much since COVID.
Yeah, the problem is July 4th is really hot and New Year's Eve is really cold.
Right.
But still, the bar's doing great. The bar's creating a lot of energy out there. And look, the thing with the fireworks is we don't make money from it. It's just a PR. Yeah. It's just PR, attention, eyeballs, people looking at us. We had Channel 3 down here that day, the Wagners. We had Channel 13 here. So the exposure is great. And again, it's important for downtown to have a fireworks show. So we do that part. And another thing I saw, we are working on a new show at the Plaza. Okay. Getting very close to a new show here at the Plaza. I think it's going to happen. It's going to be very, very cool. It's sort of a variety act of sorts. And I went to see Absinthe last week as part of my playing tours. I went to see Absinthe. I went to Golden Knights game. I went to another show, which I'll talk about in a minute. Went to a lot of great restaurants. And Absinthe is still the best. Yes. Absinthe is still the best show in the city. If you're looking for a show, it's incredible. I even took my family there. It's a little edgy, a little risky to have your parents at Absinthe, but they loved it. Everyone loved it. It's a great show. Somehow Ross and the Spiegelwald team keep it fresh, interesting. I've seen it probably a dozen times now.
Really?
And it's great every single time. Have you seen it?
I've seen it twice, but it's probably been 2-3 years since I've been down there.
Incredible show. So if you haven't seen Absinthe, you need to see Absinthe. And then I saw Christina Aguilera at the new venue at the Venetian called Voltaire. Have you been there, Rich? You heard of it? So I have an opinion that is the future of entertainment. They took what I think they took a great idea. So whenever I watch the movie, have you seen the Elvis movie, either of you? Mm-hmm. You look at the venue that Elvis was performing in, and it was a showroom with a party.
Right.
And that's what they've created at Voltaire. It's not a showroom and it's not a nightclub. It's a hybrid. And I think that's what the future of entertainment should look like, because who wants to sit there? Nowadays, you go to a concert and everyone just sits there on their phone taking a video. It's really weird, actually. You go to T-Mobile and you're sitting in this big arena and you can barely see the act and you're watching it on a screen. I mean, the Sphere is very cool, don't get me wrong, so let's leave that out. But generally, concerts have become pretty boring experiences where you just sit in a chair and film a singer.
Right, you're watching it on your phone anyway.
And the nightclub has become a somewhat of a show where you got everyone else filming the DJ, and the DJ is basically standing in a box and everyone's crammed into a room watching it. I think that Voltaire has found the medium between them, where you have a DJ and a live act, but you're sitting in a room which has character, has fun, you're comfortable, but you can stand up and dance, you can talk to if you there was issues I read at, maybe it was Adele, where people were getting thrown out for standing up and dancing, people were getting into fights for blocking views, whatever it is. The whole point of this room is you're standing up and dancing, you're talking to the people around you, you can have bottle service, you can have table service, you can have drinks, whatever's good for you, and you can stand at a bar, hang out. It's much more social and leads to a way better experience. So Christina Aguilera was an A+ experience. I think they have Kylie Minogue there as well, which is also, I haven't seen that.
They're both residencies?
They're both residencies,
okay.
Yeah. So if you haven't been there, check the calendar, see when they're on. But that is a fun, cool venue worth checking out.
Right. Between that and the Sphere, because that's a completely different visual experience than
you can't compare.
Seen.
Yeah, you can't compare. The Sphere is ridiculous. The Sphere is unbelievable.
Right.
But I saw that. When was that now? Jeez, was that end of September? I saw U2 there. That was very, very. I mean, anyone that I take to see that, it's a worldwide destination, the Sphere. People come from all over the world to see what is happening there. I just can't wait to see how they program it next.
I can't wait for the UFC fight that they plan on doing in 2024.
I don't know about that. You're just going to watch on screen. What's the benefit of that? I don't know. I need to be educated on why that's so exciting.
Right.
You're just going to watch a big screen. You're just going to see it on the screen.
I don't know. We'll have to see. We'll have to wait and see.
So I went to a luncheon with some very important people regarding F1 and the challenges that we had as a community. And one of the things was
because you got a lot of feedback from that episode when we talked about F1.
Yeah, we did. And it's no secret that many people in the city didn't do well, but they're still putting out that it was a record because look, the high end did extremely well, and that was the nature. That was the gist of the lunch. Was some of the high end places were there, and they're saying, "Look, yeah, we did the best we've ever done. How do we help the rest of the community do better?" And so we came up with about 12 things that we think could be better.
Okay.
And they were very supportive. The other operators in town, especially on the Strip, and I was honored to be included because, for me, it's a testament that the Strip cares about downtown enough to invite us and want us to be a part of these conversations to make F1 better. And it's not just the downtown casino properties. It's restaurants off the Strip. It's all sorts of people were impacted very adversely by this thing. Let's make it great because it's here to stay. But my point of bringing that up was I think one of the things that would be cool is to do a watch party in the Sphere. You need to grow the occupancy of this event 2x or 3x from what it was. So giving people more ways to watch it, like what's happening with Super Bowl. Everyone's coming to town, but not everyone's going to the game. Very few people are going to the game, right?
Yeah.
So
a certain amount of tickets.
Yeah. So that luncheon was very, very telling, and
So you think it'll be more of a citywide? Which
I
is
hope
what
so.
You were talking
I think that's
about.
what they need to do, and they need to find a way to monetize that. Like, can you go to the Sphere and watch the F1? That could be pretty cool. What were you saying, Rich?
Oh, let's get to the Super Bowl a bit. I'm so curious as to see how this city and the county deals with an event that already was sold out every year. All the people who come during Super Bowl week to bet and party and all that. And now we need another 40,000 rooms or 20,000 rooms for the Super Bowl participants, the teams, the officials, the media, and all the people coming for the game itself. It's going to be really, really sold out.
What are you seeing, Gary?
I mean, it's going to be sold out, and obviously rates are a little bit higher, and I think you're going to have some people that are going to want to stay away from Las Vegas as a whole because it's the host city, right? I think the people are going to just take the opportunity to stay home or go somewhere else during that time period, and people who want to be in the action are going to be here and enjoy everything that Vegas has to offer.
You remember a few years ago we had Marie Sawchuk, a friend of mine, in the back room, that was a Super Bowl party that he's been throwing.
Murray was here for New Year's Eve.
Oh.
He was with us for New Year's Eve.
Well, my friend Pat's been throwing that party for 30 years for his friends.
Is he coming back?
He's last year and this year we're doing championship weekend instead, just because of the prices of Super Bowl. The guy's a multimillionaire, but he still wants because it's just too crowded and too cost prohibitive, even for a multimillionaire to front 30 people.
Right.
So championship weekend, we get 2 games on Sunday instead of the 1, and we do all the usual stuff. Last 3 years, he's been at Resorts World.
Got it. So look, I had family here, and one of the things I did hear from someone was that they were staying on the Strip was they just feel like they're being abused at every opportunity. There was the video from Fontainebleau where it was like $67 for 2 bottles of water and a coffee.
Oh, yeah.
Did you see that? Mm-hmm. And I think there is a risk, and we talked about this with the Downtown Grand episode and a lot of our episodes, where other than the fact that maybe the Strip is just getting too expensive and everywhere you go you feel like someone's sticking their hand in your pocket, which I think was the feeling that a few people I was with this last 2 weeks had. Other than that, there's just never been a better time to be in Vegas. I mean, the amount of entertainment, the amount of excitement, the great restaurants. The place, although Oscar's is still the best, and I have that on record from a few people that went to amazing steakhouses, and they're all very, very good. Oscar's is still number one. But that aside, it's just the best city in the world. There's just so much happening here. It is a very exciting time, and a way you can entertain people here and show people a good time, there's just nothing like it. So I couldn't be more excited about what we're doing here, and for 2024, I think it's going to be the best year we've ever had.
Looking back on 2023, is there anything that anything that you would have changed on how the year went?
F1.
F1, yeah.
No, look, that was...
But that turned into, I mean, talking about it here on this podcast has sparked some change,
It
right?
has,
So
it has. Yeah, and by the way, that's just upside for next year. I think the delays and the challenges we had with the opening downstairs were probably the biggest issue in terms of just opening it poorly and not the best way that we would have wanted to do everything, and planning for that. But you live and you learn and you move on. And I think now we have a brand new venue for the full year of 2024. It's going to be great to see how all of those things shape out.
Speaking of new things for 2024, I'm very excited today. Joining us for the podcast is our newest member of Plaza Leadership, the new director of table games, Christiaan Van Buuren. Welcome to On the Corner of Main Street.
Thank you very much.
And welcome to the Plaza.
Great to be here. I mean, I've not had anything bad to say about the property just yet, but hey, give me time, right?
It's only been a couple of weeks, so we'll give you plenty of time for that. But today's a first for a couple of reasons. One, we normally make our team members spend a bit more time here before we throw them onto the podcast. I don't know if you've ever heard of our podcast.
I have. I got a little alert on one of my social media feeds. I'm not going to say which one.
Okay.
A short while back. It was about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I got to hear a little bit about one of your shows. And I know about you.
What was the last episode you listened to?
Actually, it was the Jan Jones one.
Okay.
Oh, very nice. Good. Yeah, she was great. So it's a special occasion because normally we have our team members. When we do have our team members come on the podcast, they've had to have been here for a little bit more time. But I have a good feeling about you, and you've been with us a few weeks, and we thought, you know what, your position is so important to us as the director of table games that it's a great opportunity for people to hear from someone and get insight from someone that's been in that position in multiple different properties and jurisdictions to understand what goes into table games, which I think is fascinating to people. But much, much more important than that. So anyway, you better stay with us a long time because we're throwing you on early.
But I will not disappoint.
I appreciate that. But much, much more importantly, you are the first fellow South African that we've had on this podcast. Is that accurate?
That is accurate.
We've had about
yes.
110 guests, so I could be wrong on that. But you were born in South Africa, which puts you and I in very fine company.
That's very true. We were both born in Johannesburg, South Africa, as a matter of fact. So that makes it even more
So welcome to the first fellow South African on our podcast, and welcome to our team member who's been with us only a couple of weeks. The first team member that we did put Sue on after a couple of weeks, I want to say, but she was great as well, and she's still here to this day and has been very good. So that's a good sign.
So what you're saying is I've got big shoes to fill.
Yes, exactly. So welcome.
So,
thank you,
Christiaan. Tell us a little bit about yourself and kind of a little bit of your backstory.
Well, been in casinos for a good long whack, about 27 years. Obviously born in Johannesburg, South Africa. Grew up in Johannesburg, South Africa. That was interesting in of itself. I know that Jonathan had gotten to leave rather early. I had cut my teeth under the fact that South Africa had gone through a renaissance or a boom of casinos around about 1997, 1996. And I know that eventually they wanted to make like 42 casino licenses in South Africa, which is wild for me because the entire place can fit inside of Texas. So yes, I started in casinos 1998, worked my way up from there. I opened a few properties around the country. A boss of mine said, hey, don't you want to go on a cruise ship and meet lots of interesting people and have a good time? And I said, that sounds phenomenal. I think I might want to do that. And I did that, worked on cruise ships for 6.5 years.
Well, what's it like working on a cruise ship? Because I've been on a cruise. I've seen the operation there, and it looks much different from a operation inside of a casino cruise versus a standard operation.
Well, I can give you two variants here. I can give you the PG-rated variant, or I can give you the X-rated variant. I think I'll probably stick with PG
whatever's going to be most entertaining for our listeners.
My gosh. Listen, I think there's some things that I have to keep to myself that I can't share. But it was really very interesting. Large amount of crew from a lot of different countries. On the first one I worked on was 72 different countries were represented. That's wild to me. So many different people. You work hard, you play hard, you drink lots, you see the entire planet. Casinos were closed when we were in port, so we could explore all the countries that we were in, and it was just... I met my wife on a cruise ship, as a matter of fact. So.
Oh, wow. So you were... Okay. Was she a customer or a fellow employee?
No, she was a fellow employee. In fact, she stayed 2 rooms down from me. I was a casino manager on the ship that she was a singer on. And I walked past her door, and I saw this name on the door. And at the risk of giving her away, it said Ginger Land. And I'm like, that's the biggest porn star stripper name I've ever seen in my life. And we hit it off. It was love at almost first sight.
Wasn't what you thought she was then?
Luckily not. No, she's a phenomenal opera singer here in town, and she has the voice of an angel. And she's managed to stay with me for 18 years now.
Where does she sing now?
Angel. She has a company called Vegas City Opera, which is a non-profit opera company that works here in town. And they put on plays and operas, and they make it so that people can actually understand the operas that they go and watch. It's not in foreign language. It's mostly in English. And it's also... they make it Vegas-centric. So you might go and see Pagliacci, or you might go and see one of those fancy operas, and it's all in English, and it's all so that you can understand what's going on. So they really do a fantastic job. And she's stayed with me for so long, I'm not entirely sure she's completely sane. But
so not to go away from the cruise conversation, but South Africa is an interesting conversation.
Yes.
Was there, and you know why there was no casinos in South Africa until 1997. You said it started in 1997, right?
96, I'd say, yes.
You know why, right?
Probably because it was all run by one man.
No, too many cheetahs.
That's a good one. I never thought of that. I wonder how many people might get that, because they might not get the cheetah.
No, they get it. I once dropped that at a casino event here, and I introduced myself in my first speeches as the CEO, and I told that joke, and there was some applause, some laughter, but not enough.
Crickets in general.
Not crickets, no. But in all seriousness, what was it like? Because I'm fascinated by this. Did you ever work in Sun City with Sol Kerzner?
No, I didn't. Those were the first casinos that were built inside of TBVC states, which is a state surrounded by South African borders. And it was a special dispensation that was made a long time ago, between the government at that stage, the nationalist government, and the TBVC states. His name was, do you remember what his name was?
No.
I can't recall. Anyway, it's not important. And never worked there. The casinos then, when they opened inside of the borders, I worked at a company called Emperor's Casino, which was where I broke in.
And then broken as a dealer?
Yes, I did, yes.
So you must have seen insane stuff. Who was the customer? What were they doing? What was it like?
I dealt to Johnny Clegg one night.
Oh, yeah?
I was brand new at dealing, and I didn't have the high-limit experience, but the girl who was in high-limit at 6 o'clock in the morning fainted. And they said, well, we needed somebody to get in there. And I'm like, I'll do it, sure. And I dealt to Johnny Clegg, and he was probably betting around about 300,000 to 500,000 rand a spin, which, if I do a quick calculation, about 50 grand American a spin. And
that's pretty significant.
It was phenomenal, because he would go to the bathroom and he would go do what he does in the bathroom, and he'd come back and he'd be happy and joyous and have a great time. And I was nervous as all get out, but that was my first experience.
I'm going to play you some Johnny Clegg when we get out of here, Gary. Great music.
Some of the best music ever written. I
Great
agree.
music. But what about like crime and any issues, any things you saw that were suspicious? I mean, obviously, that we say Las Vegas is the Wild West, but you really were dealing in the Wild West if we're being honest.
That was really the Wild West. I mean, I saw, obviously, lots of pickpocketing, which happens everywhere. But on the table games as such, not so much, because our dealers were trained properly. You go through a 3-month training course before they allow you on the floor, which here, if you have $600 in your pocket, you can walk into a dealing school.
Right.
And a week later, you can walk out ready to deal. So it was a little different back then. I did have an interesting situation take place once at the Gold Reef Casino, where I was actually working for Solly Croc.
Yeah.
And, people people were just nuts. They walked in with guns, and I was the shift manager on duty at night, and they were kind of draw guns on me. And I said, well, listen, I'm not going to move. If you're going to shoot me, you're going to shoot me, I guess. And they put their guns down, and it all went away. But yeah, there's some crazy things that had happened.
Yeah, no, it's a different world there. South Africa is not. You're not hearing the same stories here. That's for sure.
No, highly regulated, but still there's lots of things going on because, yes, crime is a problem. 46% unemployment. I mean, that's massive.
That's crazy.
So, yeah, people need money.
All right. So how did you get into Vegas? To bring us forward to your USA experience. I know you did spend some time in South Korea, and so between South Africa, cruise lines, and South Korea, you're a tough guy. You've been through it, you know.
I have been around.
You've seen enough.
I've seen more than enough. Actually, obviously, my wife's American. Met her on a cruise ship. We got married in Cape Town. Beautiful ceremony.
You and I have that in common as well.
We do.
We did talk about that. Yeah, I got married in Cape Town too.
And I was always going to move to America. I had met this company that were teaching people how to gamble while they were gambling on live table games, which is an interesting concept for me. I went to Atlantic City with them. We lived in New York for 3 months while I got my papers. Moved down to Atlantic City, and I was there for a year. The company did great, but we wanted to move to Las Vegas. My wife and I packed up our little Honda Civic, and we drove cross country in 8 days, landed in Henderson, and we have never left. So that's how I got to Vegas. And then while I was here, the company never went anywhere, unfortunately. Nobody had the foresight of maybe a Jonathan Jossel to be the first to implement this thing. And then I went to Mandalay Bay for a short while. I was in surveillance over there, and then I got the call from South Korea to go be a consultant / director of casino operations there. And I'd never been to South Korea, so I thought, hey, here's my chance. And I went there. I was there for almost 2 years, and I had a great time.
In table games?
I was in table games as well as surveillance. I was at the beginning. They'd taken me over there to help them with the implementation of their brand new surveillance room, which I had done.
Right.
And then they sort of migrated me over to the gaming side, and I was in charge of table games and slots for about 14 and a half months.
And your wife stayed here?
She did. She flew over a couple of times to come and see me. I had to make sure that my South Korean girlfriends were hidden in the cupboard when she came over.
You said what I was thinking, but
wasn't too big of a problem at the end of the day.
In South Korea, did they have the pachinko machines?
No, that's a Japanese.
That's Japan.
Come on, man, get your knowledge right. We have Japanese partners, and you don't even know where pachinko is.
Pachinko.
Pachinko.
Yeah.
Yes. It's like pinball. It's like pinball, but you don't get money. You get prizes for it.
Yes, but it's just if you go to Tokyo, if you ever find yourself in Tokyo, go find yourself a pachinko hall and just go and walk in, and it'll be the most sensory experience
we had a pachinko machine in our office.
You did?
I had a Japanese partner.
It was in there for about a year.
Machine. Yeah, we had a. I got to find out where it is.
We'll fire it up.
We should bring Kondo in and introduce you to Kondo. He's our Japanese partner here.
That'd be great.
And he sent a group here once upon a time. But no, there's no. Is there any games unique to South Korea that they like? When I went to Macau, they basically are serving dealing Vegas style games for the most part. I mean, there's a couple of different games, but is there anything there that's unique to them, like pachinko?
Yeah, on the table game side, there's a game called Taisai or Sikpo, which is the same thing. It's a dice-based variant game where you bet on certain combinations of the dice coming out.
Yeah,
and
that's
it's
Macau.
These massive,
Macau does that, yeah.
Massive tables that are lit up, kind of like the Blaze layouts we have here. And people love it. They just love the combinations. And obviously, they have the ability to bet on the 8 or the 9, which are the lucky numbers. And then they stay away from the ones that aren't the lucky numbers. And it's all luck-based, right? They're a massive gaming culture, which... I went to play golf with these guys one day, and there was so much money flying around on the first hole. I'm like, well, hold on, I'm trying to buy a house. This might be too much for me. I don't know.
I like that about you.
So then you come back to Vegas, and then where do you land when you get back? I guess back home at this point.
Yeah, a funny thing how things work out. My wife was in the office with a girl that she worked with that knew Greg McCurdy, who was the guy who was security over at the new SLS that opened in 2014. And he put in a call to Vince Kalura, who said, hey, come on over and be a floor supervisor. And I'm like, well, that gives me an opportunity to at least have a job when I get back. So I did that, and I opened SLS, where I was lucky enough to hang out in the high-limit room with Gary.
We met there, yeah.
The poker dealer?
Gary, everything dealer.
It was table games. It was table games at the time.
But you were dealing poker there?
No.
It was, no.
No, and from there, I stayed there for a good my gosh, 5 years. Moved over to Strat. I was lucky enough to
You went
work
through the
there for
rebranding
4.
from SLS to Sahara, right?
I did, yes. Very briefly, though. It happened right before I'd left. And some of my good friends still work there. I love the joint. I think they did a great job refurbing.
You mean now?
Yes, the
upgrades,
actual
yeah.
Sahara now, yes. And yeah, went to Strat. I was actually involved in the refurbing of the Strat, which coincidentally was kind of the same thing. And yes, stayed there for 4 years, after which time I was lucky enough to be asked to join the Plaza. Here I am.
Really? So you went a couple of years at SLS. How many years at Strat?
5 years at SLS, 4 years at Strat, and in between there I may or may not have worked at the Cosmopolitan of Las Vegas also.
For a little bit of time?
For just a little bit of time.
I mean, the Strat technically is in downtown for the
Yes.
gaming reporting, and Sahara's pretty close, so some might say you're a downtown guy at heart.
You know what? I have no problem with that because the people here are so nice that I think I should have made the move a long, long time ago.
So one of the questions I get asked a lot is, how accurate is the movie Casino? And the quote that they drop in the movie, which I'm going to read to you now, is what I say refer to this, because this really is to me a good example of how accurate it is, and in terms of the casino operation. And so give us your thoughts on this quote, if you would. It's from Ace Rothstein, who's the casino manager at the time. And he says, since the players are looking to beat the casino, the dealers are watching the players, the boxmen are watching the dealers, the floormen are watching the boxmen, the pit bosses are watching the floormen, the shift bosses are watching the pit bosses, the casino manager is watching the shift bosses, I'm watching the casino manager, and the eye in the sky is watching us all.
If we had to do it that way, we'd go babankrupt in literally 2 days. That's way too many levels of employees. But
where do you fit within that?
I guess
structure.
I guess I'd be the ace guy.
You're watching them all.
I'd be Ace Rothstein. I've got to watch them all. That's right. Otherwise, I wouldn't have a job. Today we don't have that many levels. Of course, we don't have pit managers anymore. For the most part, if you operate with a pit manager, then you don't have a casino manager or a shift manager. There's some levels that have been cut out just for the sake of, I guess, money.
But also probably technology's improved,
Sure.
and cameras have gotten better, and retention of cameras gotten better. I mean, when they're watching surveillance in the movie, it's very different to what we have today.
It's mostly catwalks back then. Well, there was in the movie, I believe there's a combination of catwalks as well as cameras, yes. But
it's pretty primitive to the technology we have today.
It was terrible. Yeah, now you have digital cameras and you're able to see the tick on the bum of a fly at 75 yards.
But you say that, but if you go to a live craps game with decent action, you're going to have pretty decent levels of, you can have the dealers, you're going to have the stickmen, you're going to have the boxmen.
No boxman.
You might.
Very few players. I don't think there's anybody in town that has a boxman still.
Really?
Floor supervisors that have taken their place, yes.
Okay.
Again, money.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and also just needs. Do you need the boxman if you got
the
cameras watching?
You probably don't know. But again, there are some games that require some oversight, and craps is certainly one of them. That's why when we have a busier game, you'd like for the floor supervisor to do the right thing and sit box on the game to make sure that they watch the game.
So the floor supervisor's filling in as the boxman.
Yes, exactly right. Yes.
Okay.
So it's become interesting. I think the movie's got some great points, and I think a lot of it is done really well. There are some things that are embellished, as all Hollywood products are, but for the most part, I think.
I just thought that quote was very telling in terms of the levels that go into a casino, the operation. Sure, they embellish on it, and sure, it's not as at that time it was pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Today, it's obviously changed a bit. The other question that I get asked a lot is, everyone has the same blackjack table. Sure, 3-2, 6-5. Why play at one casino versus another? What do you think are the deciding factors at a table game where somebody, and these are hard questions, I apologize if I'm putting you on the spot here.
No, that's fine.
But why would every single casino offers the same blackjack experience with the exception of maybe a blackjack payout, right? So what determines?
I think if I was a player, which I'm certainly not anymore, if I was a player, I'd go for 2 reasons. I'd go for the pace of the game, because if the more hands I play, the more likely I am to whittle down the house edge not in my favor, but down to as little as I possibly can if I'm not a card counter, but somebody who plays good basic strategy. So I need more hands an hour, right?
Is card counting cheating to you?
No, absolutely not.
Okay.
There's no device involved. Your brain is your device. So if you're able to do that well enough to be able to gain an advantage, more the power to you. It's up to us to catch you, I guess. That, and then obviously the experience. I need to go and know that if I'm going to interact with the dealers and have a good time with them, that they're going to want to have a good time with me also and chat with me, and while they're dealing, have a good time. And that's very hard to find these days. In the old days, yes, there was a great time, but now they struggle to maybe do both. They struggle to deal a good-paced game and have a meaningful conversation with a guy like me.
So it's basically what one would say, which is relationships. It's the experience you're having with the dealer that's going to keep you coming back or keep you at that table longer.
I would imagine so, yes. I mean, yes, sure. Are the drinks flowing? Is the atmosphere great?
Yep.
Is the music that the casino playing welcoming and good? Which, I mean, come down to Plaza and find out for yourself. The music here is phenomenal. They played Depeche Mode, which I cannot get enough of.
Thank you.
I just can't get enough. I'm sorry, I missed a beat. So, yes, it's the whole experience. That's the ambiance. I mean, you're right. You can play a table game anywhere these days, but can you find the experience? No.
So does it speak to the, there's a lot of conversation that you and I were in a meeting yesterday where the value of Las Vegas is changing. 6 to 5 is replacing 3 to 2 blackjack, not downtown, but generally if you look at the whole city. 3, 4, 5 times odds on craps, replacing 10 times odds, which replaced 20 times odds. 000 roulette is now a thing, incredibly.
Yes, it is.
Does it speak to the fact that people care less about the odds and more about the experience? They just want to have fun. Is the dealer engaging? Is the dealer pretty or handsome? Is the music good? Is the drinks flowing? Why? How important to you, and do you think to the customer, is the game odds?
I think it's becoming less and less important. The less there's people out there who care about those types of things, right? Unfortunately, I think the gambler, as we know it today, is dying out. They're the older people, they're the baby boomers or the Xers. The younger people are looking to spend their dollars in different ways. So we have to find out ways to attract them back to our games. I don't think they know a 6 to 5 from a 3 to 2 from an even money blackjack game.
Right,
I think that they're coming in to spend thousands of dollars on bottle service in clubs and not necessarily on playing in the casino. So we have to figure out a way how we can incorporate technology into bringing them in here so that they can experience gaming like their parents maybe have, and get them hooked on the games that their parents obviously were hooked on. So I think it's an experience, and they know very little about the odds. The people who know about the odds, I should say, is way in the minority.
Yeah.
But these new gamblers will remember the name of the dealer who treated them well for 3 hours while they were here,
without a shadow
and
of a
come
doubt.
back again.
Without a shadow of a doubt, yes. They come here just to find the right people.
So what are your first impressions in downtown? You've been here a month?
6 weeks.
Okay, sorry. What are your first impressions? I was gone for 2 of those weeks, so we'll give you a pass.
I love it. You know what? Downtown is phenomenal. I love the people that come here. They seem to want to come to Vegas to have a good time. If you go up on the strip, they come to find you somehow, right? They come to grind you down on comps. They come to take a shot on you on the tables. There's always something going on the strip that is not as complimentary to having a good time as what downtown seems to be. Everybody here just comes to have a great time, and I really love that. So far, I think the Plaza's on the right track. I think you guys are doing a phenomenal job at what it is that you're trying to promote here, and the people are really nice, and I'm not used to people being really nice to me in a casino. So that's
you got
awesome.
to spend New Year's Eve on the roof with me at midnight.
I did
for the fireworks.
I did. I didn't get to meet your wife though. I'm kind of upset about that.
Oh, you didn't?
But I'll give you.
She was there. Why didn't you introduce yourself?
Well, I didn't know which one she was.
That's very rude of you. That's very. Have you had a chance to walk down Fremont Street and see our competitors and what they're doing, or I shouldn't say competitors, our neighbors and our competitors.
Neighbors, yeah. I have, yes. I've gone through every casino downtown, yes. I have, just to see what it is that they offer. I wanted to see if they were remodeled. I wanted to see what quality of remodeling they had done on their table games, and then obviously what games they offer.
Yeah.
And I think most people have done a really nice job downtown, and I think downtown is trending in a very good direction.
Have you gone down to Downtown Grand's dollar blackjack games that they have available?
I have. I spent a short amount of time there looking at what they have. They were busy, but again, in my opinion, I think Jonathan and I touched on this very shortly yesterday, was that you cannot make money off a $1 blackjack game. You just can't. It doesn't matter how many people you have in there standing around making it look busy. The math is not in your favor. You can't make money off of that.
Unless, which I think they did say on their podcast with us, those people end up betting up at some point. Could I guess?
Sure, but if you break in at $1,
Yeah.
you're taking up a seat, right? And you're taking up a seat away from somebody who wants to bet 10.
Yeah.
So that's the problem. You need to fill the table. It's called table game yielding, right? You have the right minimum with the right amount of people in the seats.
Yeah.
That's what you want to do.
Look, I need you downstairs watching the pit at some point, so we won't keep you here too much longer.
I love it.
But what do you think about electronic table games? There's a big movement in shifting away from live to electronic table games, and you see that a lot. Circa closed one of their pits upstairs to put electronic table games. A few other places have. I did see at Durango. I don't know if you saw this. Have you been out there yet?
I haven't been there yet.
They had I do like it. We should look at it. Is the electronic craps game where it just takes one stickman to run the game.
Yep.
But they take 20% of the win.
Yeah.
So you just got to value out effectively. And I have to say, I don't remember seeing it. I've been there 3 times. I saw it the first 2 times. I don't remember if it was there the last time I was there. So.
Actually, we installed that game at Strat, so I kind of have a little bit of an idea about how
Okay.
it
Was
works.
it the Interblock one?
Interblock. It's an
Yeah.
Interblock offering, yes.
Yeah.
And it works actually a little bit better than the old Aruze one
Yeah.
that came out. So I think that game is still around with stations.
We should look at it.
Around town. If we have the space, sure, but it's all about space, right?
But do you think long-term electronic table games will bite into
Yes.
live table games?
Yes, without a shadow of a doubt. It
'Cause
costs
it's
you
that-
less money to run. There's no salaries, there's no overhead, or it's very little
By
overhead.
the way, there's no mistakes.
Well, yes, I guess that's where we come back to the experience, right?
Yeah.
People want the experience, so they're going to find their favorite dealer, but eventually once all of the dealers are gone, there's no more options. They're just going to come back to gamble. So I feel like it's going to bite into the revenue, yes.
Yeah, I agree.
That's interesting. What as we kind of wrap up here, is there any because you've been all around the world, you've been in table games in the casino industry for a long time. Any advice you'd give to our listeners who are looking to break into the table games or the casino industry?
Oh, absolutely. Now is the greatest time to break in ever because there are so many jobs available out there. People are looking.
You're going to be replaced by electronic table games.
Right. People are looking for jobs right now. So go and find a dealing school or come and speak to us and say, hey, I know of lots of casinos out there actually train in-house now because it's cheaper for them to do so and they guarantee themselves a piece of the staff pool. Right. So come and find me. I will get you a job really fast as a dealer in a casino. So now is the best time to do that.
I have to say, when I went for my gaming license, one of the things I was most proud of when they interviewed me, because I was a little younger, was the fact that I'd been to dealer school and what that set me up for in understanding game protection, understanding the different payouts. I want to say on a craps table there was 140 payouts, potential payouts. I mean, there's a lot of potential things to learn there. So it is a really great thing to say you did if you want to be in the industry, no matter what role, whether it's surveillance, whether it's dealing, whether it's any position in the casino. Going to dealer school for 30 days doesn't cost a lot of money and can't hurt the experience.
How have I been here for 8 years and we've done 120 of these episodes and I'm finding out now that you went to dealer school?
You never knew I went to dealer
I
school?
never knew that, no.
You probably weren't listening in one of the earlier episodes when I said that. That was one of the things that I was really wanted to do, but also when I went for my gaming licensing, the team here was like, look, you need to say that you know what you're doing and go to dealer school.
So you went to dealer school here in Vegas?
Yeah.
Wow, okay.
I went to the one in a commercial center by not far from the Sahara.
Yeah, and you're still the youngest key license holder in the history of Nevada. Do I have that
I don't
right?
know if I am today, but at the time when I got it, when I was 28, I was the youngest unrelated to a family. So I think some family structures had their kids get approved through the process. I never had that opportunity, but as an independent, unrestricted casino licensee, I was the youngest at the time.
That's a pretty big feather in your cap.
the history of Nevada. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that.
Absolutely.
Look, let me say this before you go. You got a big job here. I think table games is potentially our biggest upside in this business over the next 24 months. And I'm excited to have you on board and new ideas. Rosie, who was our is now the assistant director of table games, was with us for 26 years, maybe more, maybe 27. But she's an amazing team member. The team down there has been there a long time. So you're coming into a really great team with a lot of upside to turn this department into a bigger winner for us. So I wish you luck, and I'm grateful to have you here, and thank you.
I appreciate having me on, and I look forward to working more closely with both of you in the coming months.
And if you are listening and you play table games at the Plaza, please come and introduce yourself into Christiaan. And if you do not play table games at the Plaza, now's your cue to try play table games at the
Come
Plaza.
find Christian and learn how to play.
Absolutely love to have you.
All right.
Are you a fan of On the Corner of Main Street? You're listening, so we'll assume that's a yes. So share the love, rate, review, and tell a friend to subscribe. Also, follow us on Twitter and Instagram @PlazaPod, on Facebook, Plaza Podcast, and feel free to write to the man himself @Jonathan Jossel. We'll see you next time, right here on the corner of Main Street.